The difference between Count Dooku and Darth Sidious, Palpatine, in how they aged under the influence of the dark side of the Force is a fascinating study in Sith power and longevity. Both Dooku and Palpatine were powerful Sith Lords, but their experience with the dark side had vastly different outcomes as they grew older. Dooku, despite his immense power, grew physically weaker with age, while Palpatine seemed to only become stronger, even surpassing Dooku in age by the time of Revenge of the Sith. This discrepancy raises important questions about how Sith Lords manage the dark side's toll on their bodies, and it reveals Palpatine's mastery of dark side secrets that Dooku never fully attained. Dooku's decline can be attributed to a process known as dark side degradation, a concept well known in Star Wars lore. The dark side, while granting immense power and rejuvenation in the short term, siphons the life force of its users over time. George Lucas likened the dark side to a drug, providing an immediate rush of power but ultimately consuming the user's vitality. Mace Windu even referred to the dark side as a torch which burns bright but quickly. This phenomenon is what caused Dooku's physical decline during the Clone Wars. While still a formidable duelist and Force user, Dooku found himself tiring more easily and losing the vitality he had once possessed as a Jedi. In contrast, Palpatine did not suffer the same fate despite being older than Dooku by the time of their final confrontation. One major reason for this is Palpatine's extensive and early training in the dark side. Palpatine had been a practitioner of the dark side since his 20s, giving him decades to refine and perfect his control over its corrupting influence. This long-term exposure allowed Palpatine to master dark side techniques that helped him offset the effects of aging. He used the dark side to sustain his body, essentially puppeteering himself through sheer willpower. Palpatine's use of Force powers to maintain his strength stands in stark contrast to Dooku, who primarily relied on his physical abilities as a duelist. Dooku's relatively late entry into the dark side meant that he didn't have the same depth of knowledge or experience as Palpatine. By the time Dooku became Darth Tyrannus, he was already in his 70s, leaving him with limited time to master the more advanced aspects of dark side power. His short tenure as a Sith apprentice, about a decade by the time of the Clone Wars, was simply not enough to give him the full command of the dark side that Palpatine enjoyed. While Dooku certainly gained immense power from the dark side, the rapid boost he experienced early on came with the price of a rapid decline, as the dark side demanded too much from his aging body. One critical factor in their differing fates was Palpatine's intentional withholding of dark side secrets from Dooku. Palpatine, ever the manipulator, never saw Dooku as a permanent apprentice. He viewed Dooku as a temporary placeholder until he could replace him with someone younger and more powerful, ultimately Anakin Skywalker. As a result, Palpatine kept the most powerful and dangerous Sith teachings to himself, ensuring that Dooku would never become too powerful. Dooku, sensing his decline, became obsessed with Sith lore and even began collecting holocrons in an attempt to learn more about the dark side and preserve his own power. He never gained access to the most potent secrets that might have helped him counter the effects of dark side degradation. Dooku's reliance on physical strength also contributed to his downfall. Throughout his life, Dooku had been a perfectionist, keeping his body in peak physical condition and honing his skills as a duelist. This reliance on his natural strength and physicality meant that when the dark side began to take its toll on his body, he had little experience with using the Force to augment his abilities. In contrast, Palpatine had long focused on using the Force to manipulate his body, using it not just for combat but to keep his decrepit form functioning. This difference in their approach to the dark side is what allowed Palpatine to remain terrifyingly strong while Dooku grew weaker as time passed. Had Dooku started his Sith training at a younger age, he might have been able to rival Palpatine's power. The video speculates that Dooku's potential was massive, possibly greater than Palpatine initially expected. However, due to his late start and the limitations imposed on him by Palpatine, Dooku was unable to fully realize this potential. If Dooku had been trained in the dark side from a younger age, he might have become a true Sith rival to Palpatine, capable of overcoming the physical limitations that eventually led to his defeat. In the end, the difference between Dooku and Palpatine comes down to experience, knowledge, and timing. Palpatine, with his early and extensive training, mastery of dark side secrets, and willingness to manipulate those around him, was able to extend his power and overcome the effects of aging. Dooku, on the other hand, was limited by his late entry into the dark side and his reliance on his physical abilities. These differences ensured that while Dooku weakened with age, Palpatine only grew more powerful. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more Star Wars content. May the Force be with you.